You've heard of Tutankhamun, Cleopatra, and Ramesses the Great, but what about the king who held Egypt together when it was about to shatter into pieces? A ruler so obscure he's practically a ghost in the annals of history. This is the story of Weneg, the shadow king who reigned just before the storm. Imagine ancient Egypt, not as the unified, powerful empire we often picture, but as a kingdom teetering on the brink. By the time of the Second Dynasty, around 2820 BCE, the cracks were starting to show. The long reign of the previous king, Narmer, had ended with a drastic decision. He divided Egypt. Upper and Lower Egypt, once bound together, were now drifting apart, operating almost like separate countries. Local officials and powerful priests were gaining more and more influence, chipping away at the central authority of the pharaoh. The dream of a single, mighty Egypt was fading fast. The nation was under immense pressure, and it desperately needed a leader who could stop it from completely falling apart. This was the world that Weneg inherited. Into this volatile situation stepped a new king, Weneg. His name appears on the stone vessels from the Step Pyramid and in later king lists from Saqqara and Abydos, confirming his existence. But beyond that, he's a historical enigma. We don't know who his parents were, how he came to the throne, or what he looked like. His reign followed Narmer's a period of immense uncertainty. Yet, despite the scarce evidence, what we can piece together is crucial. Weneg didn't oversee the final collapse of Egypt. Instead, he managed to hold the line. For a brief, critical period, he ruled over a technically still unified kingdom. He didn't build grand pyramids or lead victorious armies, but he did something perhaps even more important. He maintained the institution of the pharaoh. He kept the flame of tradition alive, ensuring there was a throne for the next king to inherit. Even in the shadows, Weneg's presence prevented Egypt from fracturing further, buying it precious time. He was the quiet guardian standing between order and chaos. When we think of a powerful pharaoh, we picture great monuments, detailed inscriptions, and tales of epic battles. Weneg offers none of that. There are no pyramids dedicated to him, no temples bearing his name, no reliefs showing him smiting Egypt's enemies. His reign is a near total silence in the archaeological record, but this silence is deceiving. Sometimes the absence of chaos is its own testament to strength. Weneg's reign was not about expansion or glory, it was about survival. By simply existing, by occupying the throne and maintaining the administrative functions of the state, he ensured the continuity of the royal line. He was the bridge between the division under Narmer and the dramatic changes that were to come. The kingdom he passed on was fragile, yes, but it was still functional. It was a kingdom that another ruler, pharaohs, could inherit and attempt to reshape. Weneg's quiet, undocumented rule was not a sign of weakness. It was the calm before the storm, the silent strength that allowed the institution of kingship to endure. So why should we care about this forgotten king? Weneg is largely a footnote in history, a name on a list, overshadowed by the more dramatic figures who came before and after him. But his role was absolutely critical. He stepped into a crisis, a moment when Egypt's very identity as a unified nation was at risk. He wasn't a conqueror or a builder. He was a preserver. He was the king who simply kept the ship afloat during a dangerous storm. Without his brief but steadying reign, the political vacuum could have led to total collapse. The split between North and South might have become permanent. The later king, pharaohs, might have inherited not a divided kingdom, but a collection of warring states. Weneg represents the unsung heroes of history, the leaders whose greatest achievement was preventing disaster. He ensured that there was still an Egypt left to rule, a foundation upon which future, more famous kings could build their legacies. Weneg's story teaches us a valuable lesson about history and leadership. Not all great rulers are famous. Not every king needs to fight glorious battles or erect massive monuments to be significant. Some of the most important leaders are the ones who rule quietly, the ones who simply prevent things from falling apart. They are the stabilizers, the custodians of continuity. Weneg's legacy isn't carved in stone, but in the survival of the Egyptian state itself. He reminds us that true strength isn't always loud and dramatic. Sometimes it's the quiet resolve to hold the line. The kings we forget often shape the destiny of the kings we remember. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into ancient Egypt's hidden history. If you enjoyed uncovering the story of the Shadow King Weneg, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories about the forgotten figures who shaped our world.